Welcome, welcome. My name is Bryan Peterson, and I am a life coach with Achieve, Grow, Succeed Coaching. And I am here on behalf of the Life Coach University and their Pay It Forward platform, where coaches from around the world have gathered to coach millions more. All we ask is that you help us in paying it forward. We don't care how you do it. We just want to create the biggest ripple effect of gift giving the world has ever seen. And it all starts with each and every one of us in our own communities, in our own homes. So we don't care how you do it. You could use the coaching to enhance yourself. You could share the coaching with somebody and teach somebody else. You could share Life Coach University with somebody. You could hug somebody. You can make them laugh. That's my favorite one. We don't care. Just join us in making this the type of world that we want to live in, which is one filled with joy, peace, love, and meaningful connection. So, that being said, I also want to give a shout out to the YES program, the Youth Educational Scholarship. And if any of you are on here today, this particular one is really going to help you build a solid foundation for your future success. If you could learn how to better have a better relationship with yourself and understand how your self-image and self-esteem play a role in that and how to build that, you're going to do some amazing things. I promise you, you will. So the Youth Educational Scholarship, the YES program, is currently in a summer holiday, but we've got some amazing young people that have just participated in the program and are waiting on some certificates. So I just want to give a shout out to you on behalf of everybody at Life Coach University. Congratulations. We're so proud of you. You're going to do amazing things. That's awesome. We start up again in September, and the only requirement is that you watch like 1 hour of class a week. That's the only requirement. The YES program is for students, or not for students, for young people who are between the ages of 19 and 25. It's free. It's wonderful. It's free, right? It's a scholarship. And there is no application. All you have to do if you're interested is email the office at hello@lifecoachuniversity.com and say that you're interested. They'll get you all the information you need. Once again, the next one is starting in September. And in the meantime, you could check out all the classes that are currently on there that are already listed. I know that I've got one on there on habit building, and everybody wants to build habits, right? So, once again, let's go ahead and dive right into today's topic, self-esteem, self-concept, and how do we build it, right? So my name is Bryan Peterson again. I'm a coach, a life coach with Achieve, Grow, Succeed Coaching. I help people to stop self-sabotaging, basically uninstall their limiting beliefs and install what I call a success system of thinking is, and help them succeed in any of the areas of their life that they currently don't experience success. So whether that be in your business, your health, it doesn't matter. I can help you, right? Okay, so today we're going to talk about self-esteem to self-concept, and I'm broken it down into 4 different areas. So the first area is we're just going to talk what is self-esteem, what is self-concept, what's the difference between the two. The second area is what role do they play in your life? So how does that fit in? What does it even mean to have these in my life, right? And then the third thing I want to do is I want to share all the benefits of a healthy self-esteem or a healthy self-concept. And so you can understand better why it's important that you understand where you're at with yours and then how you can improve it. And then the very final segment is like how we build it up, right? How we get better at it. How can we increase our self-esteem? So I do want to share that if you have any questions during this process, there's a Q&A box on there, and you're more than welcome to share your questions in the Q&A box. I will be stopping after each segment anyway and just asking if you understand everything, and if there's any questions, if you have any questions on that particular segment on how that applies to you, or if you've got a unique situation, just feel free to put that in there and I will answer your questions as best that I can. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. So what are self-esteem and self-concept, or self-image? A lot of people will call it your self-image, right? Self-concept, think of it like this. Think of your self-concept as answering the question, who am I? And your self-esteem answers the question, how do I feel about who I am, right? One is how you see yourself, and the other one is how you feel about yourself. So I like to think of the self-concept as like, do I see myself as a successful person? Do I see myself as someone who exercises? Do I see myself as somebody who has the ability to do anything they want? Or do I see myself as someone who is not good socially? I'm socially awkward. Or do I see myself as an introvert? Or do I see myself as not being able to communicate well, right? It's just how we see ourselves. It's that vision of ourselves. And then self-esteem is going to be how we feel about that, like our confidence level in our abilities, our ability to keep our own promises, so to speak. But I've got two different analogies that might help you understand them even better. And the self-concept, I'm going to use the central air conditioning analogy. I love analogies. They really help me to kind of learn and understand it better. They help my clients learn better. So I want you to think of like a central air system in your house, heating and air conditioning. And we will set a temperature in that. Like, let's say you set the temperature at 72 degrees. And in the summertime, when the heat gets going, the air conditioning is going to kick on and it's going to pull it back down to 72 degrees, right? And then during the wintertime, when it gets a little bit colder outside, that heat's going to kick on and it's going to heat it back up to 72 degrees. So no matter what's going on around you, that central air conditioning unit, that central air system, is going to keep you within this kind of parameter of where you're at, okay? So how does this apply to our self-concept? Well, our self-concept is how we see ourselves. So there's a lot of people that will suggest that we have these temperatures or this thermostat level in each of the areas of our life. And I'll use financial because just a lot of people, it's just easier to understand sometimes. So you may picture, somebody may picture themselves as, my abilities and everything that I do, my knowledge and how I value myself. I picture myself as somebody who makes, let's say, $50,000 a year. And so there may be situations that arise or come up and where you're starting to make more than $50,000 a year, but your self-concept is, I don't make that much money. I don't value myself as much. And so your self-concept's going to pull you back down and kind of keep you around that 50,000 mark. And the same thing goes when you go below that. It's going to pull you back up. And it does this in all, like we've got this temperature or this thermostat temperature level in all the different areas of our life, whether it's our health, our relationships, our fun and leisure, just all those different things. So that's how I picture like your self-concept. And then self-esteem, the analogy that I like to use with self-esteem, and I got these from other people too, by the way. I just didn't create these. But the self-esteem, I always like to think of it as a credit score with yourself. And for anybody that's like in the youth education scholarship, if you haven't learned what a credit score, a financial credit score is, it's just how the lending and business industry gives you a rating on how well you do at managing your finances, right? Well, the same thing goes with a credit score yourself. Like, how well are you at managing your promises? How well are you at keeping your word? And so that's the way I like to look at it. And just the same way that you have a high credit score with your financials, More institutions are willing to lend you money. More people are willing to do business with you. Banks open up their wallets. Of course, you've got to pay interest on this stuff, but you get lower interest rates on that money you borrow too. And more people are willing to rent to you or do business with you, right? So the lower one you have, like people are like, God, this person doesn't manage their money well. I don't trust them renting this apartment. I don't trust them in paying back this loan. I don't want to lend them money. But as a uh, consideration, I'll lend you the money, but you're going to pay a really high interest rate. So it's not very beneficial to you. Well, just the same way we've got a low credit score with ourselves, we're not going to take on as many challenges. We're not willing to push ourselves. We're not willing to face our fears. Whereas if we had a higher credit score, we're more confident with ourselves, right? We believe in ourselves more. I like to think of it like if you listen quietly, it's the voice in your head. Like when you say you're going to go do something, like I'm going to, as an entrepreneur, I was always like, yes, I'm going to start this new thing tomorrow and I'm going to work on it. I'm going to succeed and I'm going to have all this success. But that little voice in my head was like, you're not going to follow through, Bryan. You ain't doing that. And it would get really loud, right? So that's the way I look at self-concept, and that's the way I look at self-esteem. So before we move on to the next section, does anybody have any comments? Let me look on here. Okay, so what role do they play in your life? Self-esteem and self-concept helps determine the conversation and relationship you have with yourself. And I always like to say that the conversation that you have with yourself determines how you show up in every area of your life. Okay. Looks like we have a question. Hang on one second. Somebody just said, I like the concept of the credit score with myself. I think it's a really good analogy to use because you constantly know, like every promise that you keep with yourself, you raise your credit score with yourself. So you can actually feel it going up. You can feel it going up with your confidence level. You can feel it going up in your trust. Think of it as your level of trust in yourself on whether you're going to follow through or not. So how does it show up in your life, right? So self-esteem and self-concept, we have one more, hang on. What if I feel like I owe others to be a certain way or to live my life in a certain way for them? That has to do with an unhealthy, or not an unhealthy, but an unhealthy like self-esteem and a lower self-concept. So when we feel like we owe it to others, we don't see or we don't value ourselves. We're not valuing ourselves enough. And the way I see it as human beings or as anybody that is on this planet or any life form that's on this planet, we're all of value. It's just that as we've grown up and the values and the things that we've inherited or the ideas that we've inherited from our parents or accidentally accepted from our friends and stuff like that have told us that we're not of value. So one of the ways when we get to the very end of this too, I'm going to share ways in which we could boost your self-esteem, your confidence within yourself, but also it affects the way you let other people treat you, right? So right now, when you just don't believe in yourself enough, you're willing to let other people dictate how you act around them or how you act yourself and stuff like that. I hope that answers that, and I will dig into it a little bit more. So, but back to how it shows up in your life. So your self-esteem and your self-concept play a direct role in that conversation you have with yourself and in the relationship you have with yourself. And what do I mean by a conversation you're having with yourself? I want you to think of the voice in your head. What does it say to you? Is it saying things like, you're not good enough, or man, you could do anything? Is it saying like, you'll never get this right, or you'll figure out a way, right? There's a voice in our head. And sometimes it's just kind of indifferent, like, yeah, I don't care. And that's fine too, right? The analogy that I like to give people is, think of like a parent-child conversation where the parent is always yelling at the kid. The kid doesn't clean up his room. He's lazy. And the parent's just like, you're lazy. You don't do anything right. I need you to clean up your room. If you don't clean up your room, you're not going to get to go over to your friend's house tonight, or whatever it is. Like, nobody wants to be that kid, right? And how does it feel to be that kid? But in this situation, like, you're the parent and you're the kid. It's like you're yelling at yourself. That's the conversation that you're having with yourself, right? And so it's just not this nurturing, fostering, caring relationship, right? But if you have a higher self-esteem, you talk to yourself in a better way. Like, you're not going to treat yourself like that. I want you to think on a different spectrum. Like, how would you have a conversation with your best friend? Like, would your best friend, if you were in trouble or had a challenge or a troubling situation, and your best friend came over, would your best friend say, oh, you're never going to do it, Brian, you're never going to succeed, oh, you're too dumb to get this, and stuff like that? No, no, your best friend would say, I've got you, you can do this, let me help you out, right? Like, how much better, and I love to say this, how much better would our lives be if the conversation with ourselves sounded like this all the time? Anytime we encountered a challenging situation, that voice in our head and our relationship with ourselves was so good and so loving and so nice that the conversation was like, I got you, Brian. I got you, Lisa. I got you, Steve. Let's do this. We can do this. Oh man, this is scary, but you know what? We're gonna make it. We're gonna do this. I think that we would navigate life a lot better if we had that kind of relationship and that kind of discussion with ourselves. So that's the role that they play in our life, right? That's how they show up. And also, I want to talk a little bit about what an unhealthy self-concept and self-esteem does. An unhealthy concept, an unhealthy self-esteem often drags us down. It limits our opportunities. It implies that we have a low value of yourself. Like when you asked, why do I feel like I owe others to be a certain way or to live my life a certain way for them? It's because we've got a low value of ourselves, right? And without that self-confidence, we lack the resourcefulness to overcome uncertainty, to solve problems, and to manage change. Like anytime something changes in your life, big changes, we don't want to do that because we're not confident that we can actually make it through. It scares us. It causes us fear because we just don't believe that we're going to make it through or do the right things in order to navigate that change. So what do? We resort to sticking to our old behavior because that's familiar to us, right? We know that even if we don't like where we're at, we still will resort to doing that because it's comfortable for us, right? So I just want to share with you some signs that you might have an unhealthy self-concept or an unhealthy self-esteem. And I want to share with you this too, that there was so often that I thought for myself, I was pretty confident, right? And I thought, man, I'm comfortable. I think I'm great. I've got this, I think wonderful. I like to think that I thought wonderful things about myself. And then the more I dug into it, the more I was like, ooh, wait a sec. So when I share these with you, I just want you to say in a non-judgmental way, I just want you to think, do I do these? Do I exhibit these behaviors? And if so, this gives you a sign that there are ways to improve, or there are things that we could do to improve upon it, and then you could even build your confidence even more, okay? So you're always comparing yourself to others. One of my other mentors likes to say it's the compare and despair. Like you're comparing and then you're like, oh, woe is me, look at them, they've got this and stuff like that. Anytime we're comparing ourselves to others, we think that either they've got it better or that they're better than us. Like, how come I can't do that? Look at Susie over there. She's doing everything right. Or how come that guy's business is, you know, my business should be further along, right? That's one of the signs of it. We succumb to jealousy instead of being truly happy for them, right? So instead of being happy for them and congratulate them, we're jealous and we're like um, this graspy, needy, like, you know, oh yeah, congrats, you know, oh, and it's kind of like that. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Disingenuous congratulations. Like you're like, hey, congrats on your business, and then you turn around, you're going, oh, they don't deserve that. You know what I mean? It shows up in that way, right? We're constantly rejecting compliments. Like, how many times have you done this? Like, uh, I like females when they're told that they're beautiful. Oh, no, 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 you're the beautiful one, right? Or, oh my God, man, you did really great at that. Oh, I got lucky, right? So you're always rejecting or deflecting compliments, or you're turning the compliment back to them. You're rejecting the compliment and then you're complimenting them. We do that a lot, right? Or people with an unhealthy self-esteem will do that. You'll criticize yourself to others. Like you're just constantly saying, oh God, I could never do that. Or, man, I'm just not the type of person who could follow through when it comes to exercising, right? We'll just say negative things about ourselves. Sometimes they're really silent too. Like mine used to be really silent to me. Like it would just be just like, Bryan, you ain't gonna do that. And then let's see, we suffer from guilt about what we could, should, or would have done. I call it the woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? We've all heard of that, right? And that's just implying that we should be better, right? There's this gap between who we are, like, you know who you are when you're alone and nobody else is around, and then over here is who you see yourself as, right? Who you really want to be. And then in public, we show up somewhere in between in here, right? And maybe it's closer to who you really are with your best friend or your spouse. And then over here, when you're out at the gas station and you go into the clerk and you're super polite, you're super nice, you know, but it's somewhere in there. And the idea is that the bigger the gap, the more guilt and the more shame that we suffer, right? So the idea is we want to close this gap between who we really are and then who we want to be, right? There's another one too. We put other people's needs first. I see this all the time. I call it the martyr syndrome. Like you're always trying to no, 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 you go and you take the last hot dog. Or no, 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 you go first. And I remember my grandmother used to always do this. She used to fix meals and stuff, and then she would not serve herself or eat until everybody else at the table. And she was a little old school when it came to that, but we're always like, even to the detriment of ourselves, we'll be just like, oh, no, 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 you do it. You use it first, and I'll just deal with it and stuff like that. And then the biggest one, not necessarily the biggest one, but you'll suffer from poor emotional health. You're emotionally drained and tired all the time, and your physical health will show signs of it too, okay? So your self-esteem also plays a role. It shows up in your confidence. This is one of the main factors that a lot of people will assimilate to self-esteem, but it impacts on how you treat yourself. And I want to reflect back to this comment as what if I feel like I owe others to be a certain way or to live my life in a certain way for them? Your self-esteem, that credit score with yourself, is affecting the way, not only how you treat yourself, but it plays a role in how you let others treat you as well. It helps determine whether you think you deserve to have things in life, right? That you want to live your life your own way, right? I believe 1,000,000% that the universe, this planet we live on, Earth, is abundant. Like there's an abundance for everybody. It's just our thoughts get in the way. But when you combine the thoughts that there's not enough to go around, and you don't believe in yourself, you combine those two together, it's like, no wonder you don't feel like you deserve to have the things in life. No wonder you don't feel like you could live your life your way, right? So that's the role, that's how they show up in your life. I'm going to pause for a second again and see if there's any more questions. Uh-oh, somebody's asking Brian, where are my cats today? I think Aria I saw her walking around in the background. They may pop out, they may not. Aspen, she likes to sleep most of the day. I have another one here is, I didn't have a choice of the family I was born into. When I moved out, I made sure to make friends with people who were nothing like my family. If that was a healthy thing for you, then I think that's amazing, right? If your family was not supportive of you or supportive of your belief in yourself, and you needed to make sure you made friends who are nothing like your family that were supportive, I think that's great. But we have to realize too that we don't get to choose our family. We get to choose our thoughts about our family and how we feel about our family. We get to choose those thoughts. We get to choose that my family is not going to affect my self-esteem or my self-concept. They're not, I could choose to not give them that power. I just want to offer you that there. We have another one here. Can I get a copy of that list of signs to look for? I do most of them. I always put others first. I always laugh off compliments. Listen, I get it. Like, I still do it, right? There's still things where I will, no, you go first. But we have to determine whether it's in an unhealthy way or not. And I don't have a list or a PDF that I can give you, but this replay will be back on Life Coach University. And you can go in there and you click on their website. There's a place called replays, and you can go and find it so that the next time you go to watch it, you could stop, pause, and you could take notes, and you could do that. But thank you for that. I'm glad you said that, because that reminds me to constantly tell people that there is a live replay. Okay, so let us jump into the benefits of a healthy self-esteem. So how does it benefit us? And why is it important that we actually do stuff to build our self-esteem, to do stuff to change our self-concept, right? Because I really think it's important. Like, if we're going to play that role where we make this a better world, I hear from so many people, you know, like, what's your mission in life? Well, I just want to leave the world a better place than when I was in it, right? If we want to do that, then we need to think better of ourselves, and we need to see ourselves as being able to do those things. So I just got a whole list of stuff here that I gathered. I gathered my own thoughts, and I went and I collected a bunch of others. There's some amazing things in here. The first of all is just belief. It gives you powerful belief, like the feeling of being certain about something, right? It's that confidence level. And so it raises your confidence, like you're sure of your abilities, your skills, and your talents. Like, you believe that I'm able to learn. One of my favorite beliefs is that if somebody else can do it, then I can do it. I truly believe that. And that lets me foster and begin any new skill. It lets me overcome these obstacles, because I'm like, I've got the same stuff. I've got a brain, I've got a heart, I've got lungs, I've got hands, I've got all this stuff. If they can do it, then I can do it too. And I'm always leaning into that. It's a very powerful belief for me. I'll offer it to you too. You can have it. So not only is it confidence in our ability, but it actually increases our ability. So like, your abilities and your skills will actually get better because of what I just said. You believe in yourself to be able to do that. So your physical and mental skill you need to do something actually increases. Like, your competence level in whatever you're doing will increase, right? And let's go back to your value. I believe it was the second question. You know your importance in the world. Like, you begin to value yourself. You see how important you are. Like, you understand that we need to be independent, but we're also interdependent with each other on this planet, in this world, right? So we see our value and the connection that we give other people, right? You get to be authentically yourself. Like, you have to stop hiding who you are. You get to stop hiding who you are and just be you. I've worked on that a lot lately, because I was always, I call it FOPO instead of FOMO, fear of missing out. It's FOPO, forget other people's opinions. And it's actually one of the muscles I teach in my program, one of the muscles I exercise. So I'm constantly asking myself, am I filtering what I want to say to please this person in front of me, or to sound better, or whatever? So I'm not filtering as much. So I'm actually being authentically myself, right? You get a sense of purpose. You get clarity in decision making. It will increase your communication skills. Like when you get more confident about yourself, your drive to succeed, and you're more committed, you're more motivated. You could form, you have the ability to form good and healthy relationships. And then that goes back to this one where it said, I moved out and I made sure to make friends with people who are nothing like my family. Like if the higher your self-esteem and the improved self-concept, you're going to build better relationships. And you're going to be ready and willing to help others. They always say, like in a case of emergency, when a plane is crashing, they say, put your mask on first and then help others. We want to be able to make sure that we have the oxygen so that we can help other people out. Well, when you build your credit score with yourself, you're able to take care of yourself, so you're able to help others as well. I love that one. You're willing to embrace new challenges. You're not afraid of uncertainty or the unknown or change when it happens. So, AKA, you're willing to face your fears. You become more resilient. You have more acceptance. Let's see, we already mentioned high motivation. Your mental health gets better. Your physical, so your emotion and your physical health get better. You have the ability to let go of negative thought patterns. And I love this one because as I worked on mine, that voice that I was talking about was super loud. It was like, Bryan, you're no good. You're never going to do it. You're never going to succeed. It was so loud. It was deafening. And so, oh, there went one of my cats, in case you were wondering. But it was loud, right? And that's all I could hear. But the more confident I got, the more promises I kept to myself, the more I followed through, that voice got quieter and quieter and lower and lower. And you know what got louder? That best friend voice. I got you, Bryan. That's what got louder. It like did a whole role reversal, and it was like amazing. And so the majority of the voices that I hear right now are the loud, supportive ones. So that's a huge one right there. I love this one too. You can accept disagreements. Like if somebody disagrees with you, you can accept it. You can be like, okay, that's fine. I get it that you feel that way and stuff like that. And then you can articulate your view when they challenge you. Like if they say, oh, no, Bryan, that's not the blah, blah, blah. I can go, well, hey, I appreciate your thoughts about it. In fact, I can understand even your point of view, but this is the way I feel about it. This is the way I believe about it. This is what I think about it. So you're more willing to articulate your point of view, right? You don't seek approval as much. So you're not, I enjoy a good pat on the back, but when I'm more confident, I don't necessarily need it. Do we like to be recognized? Yes, absolutely. I think it's one of the essential things in business, in team building, and those things. If you're running a business that's got a lot of employees, then recognition needs to be on there, but when used properly. And then you understand that it's okay not to know everything, right? You don't have to feel like you need to be perfect. You begin to accept that you and others make mistakes, and it's okay. Because I've made them, but you know what? I know that I keep my promises to myself, so I'm good. I'll fix it, right? And this is one of my favorites. I keep going back to this, building your credit score with yourself, right? So build your credit score. Like every promise you make, cha-ching, 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 that credit score goes up. And then when you've got a high enough one, and then all of a sudden you fall off the wagon and you stop exercising for a week, it's no big deal. Stop exercising for a week. I just want to make sure you heard that. It's no big deal because your credit score, your trust in yourself is so high. You're like, I'll get right back on. That's no big deal, right? You celebrate more. Like you find ways to celebrate more. You're having more fun. You build better coping skills. You stop blaming yourself and others and making excuses, and you start finding solutions instead. You become more social. So if you're an introvert, I'm not saying that this is going to make you run out and then you're just having fun. You're going in all these places where there's tons of people and stuff like that. But when you're more confident about yourself, you're okay with being in an unknown environment, and you're okay with being yourself. So you become a little bit more social. You definitely experience less stress because you believe in yourself more. And then the last and final thing is that it boosts your overall well-being. Like you feel better, you think about life differently. The way you feel about life is different. Challenges that come up that you used to think you would never be able to get past, you're like confident that you'll figure out a way. And so before, that's it for the benefits. I'm going to pause for any questions there and get a little sip. Give a couple moments here. Looks like we got another one. Let's see. I wake up with lots of anxiety and worry about things. I do too. Like, why is she not talking to me? I get on the bus to school and I don't look around. I just look out the windows. So yeah, let me share something with you. Like, for some reason, when I woke up in the mornings, that's when my anxiety hit. It was like all the fears, all the broken promises, all the not beliefs in myself. It's like it was so loud. Remember when I said that voice was super loud? I completely resonate with this. And I can promise you that with what I'm about to share with you here in a little bit, right after this, is going to help you with that. I completely understand. I was an awkward kid. One of the things about me was that after I moved out of my parents' house, I ended up drinking and abusing drugs. But the drinking kind of got me out of my shell. So I kind of conditioned myself to be more open, but I still consider myself kind of an introvert when it comes to things. So I just get on the bus and I don't look around. But I'm going to teach you some ways that when you wake up with that anxiety, like we don't have to accept our thoughts as our thoughts, like as true. We can challenge our thoughts. So when you wake up in the morning, I'll offer you this. How about this? Like, just think about the thoughts that are causing you that anxiety and just ask yourself, is that thought 100% true? Is there some sort of way, shape, or form where I can find evidence that that thought is not true? And that allows you to calm yourself down and get to a place. But thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate you being open. Okay, wait, looks like we've got one more. Last week, I made a new friend. He had a sleepover with my new friend. Then my best friend at school got jealous and told my other friends not to be my friends. Yesterday, I ate lunch alone. This really plays into the low value that we have for ourselves and how it can show up for you. So especially at a younger age, right? When we're still going through and we don't know how to emotionally process these things. Our ability to process our emotions was taught to us by our parents, and they most likely didn't know how to process their emotions either. So I can appreciate this. You don't have to eat lunch alone. If you take the steps that I'm about to share with you and then just slowly build your self-esteem, you'll get more confidence with yourself. And you might even get to the point where it's like, yeah, I don't mind eating alone. Sometimes that might even be better. Okay, so let's jump into how do we improve our self-concept and how do we raise our credit score with ourselves. So when it comes to improving our self-concept, we just have to be aware of what our self-concept is. And so if you look at a wheel of life, and you can Google this, a wheel of life is like a circle and it's cut into pie segments, and each of the pie segments has to do with an area of your life: health, wealth, career, relationships, romance, fun and leisure, spirituality, contribution when it comes to giving back and things like that. So we have all these areas, and you could just ask yourself the questions: what kind of person do I see myself as far as career or my health? Do I see myself as the type of person who works out and stays healthy? And you could just analyze all that and take that information down, and then you'll get like a solid picture of how you see yourself. And in the areas that you don't like or are not comfortable with, you can ask yourself, how do I want to see myself instead? Like, how do I want to see myself? And then you could write that in there. Like I'm working on my health right now. And I'll just share with you that I haven't stuck to exercises. I make all my food from scratch. My wife and I make all our food from scratch. So I'm good there, but I don't exercise. I'm not completely physically healthy. If you ask, like I could walk around all day, but if you asked me to run around the block, I would get tired. And I want to change that. And so I'm changing my self-concept as somebody who works out and somebody who is willing to say no to sugar. Sugar is my nemesis right now. It's my kryptonite. So that's what I'm working on. And so all I'm doing is finding and fueling thoughts and belief that support that self-concept. And I'm going to find evidence to support it. But I'm going to share with you the ways that we do that. And one of the ways is to build our self-esteem part of it. And this is going to help with a lot of these questions in here that will give you the confidence in yourself that if you have to eat lunch alone, it's no big deal. That if you feel like you owe others and you have to be a certain way, that you don't have to. Your self-esteem is going to give you the confidence. And the way to do the self-esteem is to simply, I call it the promise muscle. In my program, we exercise our mental muscles, and I call this the promise muscle. And so all you're going to do is you're going to make small promises to yourself that are very doable, and then you're going to keep them. And you're just going to do this every day. And all I do is, like, when it comes to exercising for me, I just say I'm going to do 15 push-ups, 15 sit-ups, and 15 curls each day. And I follow through with that. Or I'm going to drink more water each day, and I set a certain amount, and then I track it and I just keep it, but I make sure it's doable. If I make it an amount that my brain gives me resistance, and I hear that voice like, you're not going to do it. Yep, there's my cat. Then I won't follow through. And the idea is we want to set, and I'm not saying set the bar low, but set it doable to where you're going to follow through and start keeping those promises. Now, I want to share with you that your brain, your mind is going to want to tell you that it's not enough, like you're not doing enough. That's not acceptable as a promise to keep to boost your self-esteem. But I promise you that your self-esteem, your conscious, your soul, whatever it is, it's keeping track. It doesn't care about what your mind is saying. It's keeping track. And that's why it's one of the worst things you could do is say, ooh, nobody else will know. I'm going to eat this ice cream bar or whatever. You know who knows? You. You're conscious. That's who knows. And that's the one who's dictating whether that credit score goes up or not. So you just make and keep small promises to yourself. And after a week, tally them up and just say, look, show yourself the evidence, show your brain, show your mind the proof that, look, I kept up with all these things. Well, I missed that one once, but everything else I did great. And I promise you, you're going to start to feel better. I started a routine because I wanted to see how well this would work in my coaching program. So I just started on myself. And mind you, I thought my confidence was really high to begin with. A month and a half ago, I started this. And like my energy level, my confidence is off the charts now. So that's how we do that. And then the last part here is I just want to share with you the 6 pillars of self-esteem. And this is from the book, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. That's the book. And it's by Nathaniel Brandon. And if you just work on these 6 pillars and make effort in these 6 areas, then I guarantee you your self-concept will change and your self-esteem. And the pillars are living consciously, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, living purposefully, and self-integrity. And so living consciously, what we need to do is you need to live consciously in order to act consciously. Like you need to train yourself to live consciously in order to be deliberate enough to even take up the other 6 pillars, right? So in my program, I teach people that this is their awareness muscle. Like it is the foundation to all the other muscles. Like awareness leads to conscious actions, and those actions lead to conscious living. So if we're aware of what's going on in the moment, and then we're aware of the actions that we're taking, we start taking actions that are conscious, right? And so what he shares in order to help these areas, he shares what he calls STEM sentences. And the STEM sentence looks like something like this, like living consciously to me, dot, dot, or means to me, dot, dot, dot. And then he has you finish it. And what he does is says, take these questions each morning and then just answer them. Don't think about them. Don't ponder them. Don't take 15, 20 minutes. This whole exercise should take you about 10 minutes in the morning. If it's taking longer, you're thinking about it too much. But just write out 6 to 10 answers to this, to each of these STEM questions. And then each day, just put it aside and go about your day. And then at the end of the week, ask yourself this one last STEM sentence. And that STEM sentence is, if any of what I wrote were to be true, it might be helpful if I dot, dot, dot. And everything that follows after that dot, dot, dot is going to be your game plan on how you can improve your self-esteem. It'll be those small promises you can keep. It'll be the stuff that you can do. And then all you do is just start focusing on them one at a time. Don't try to bite the whole thing. You can just do one at a time. It's okay. So here's the STEM sentences for living consciously. Living consciously to me means dot, dot, dot. If I were to live 5% more consciously today, dot, dot, dot. And I want to share with you that you could change that up. If you were to say, if I were to live 5% more consciously in my work, dot, dot, dot. If I were to live 5% more consciously in my relationships, dot, dot, dot. So you can expand on these. They're like endless. Let's see, we've got another comment here. In September, I move away from my home for uni. I'm excited for me, but I worry about my mom. I have 5 brothers and sisters. My mom is a single mom. What are some statements I can say to myself? These are, I'd be careful with just like general affirmations like I am strong, I am powerful, I am whatever, because if your self-esteem, if your inner core belief, if you don't believe it, it's not going to do anything for you. I call what I call laddering beliefs. And find a better belief, like find out what you're saying to yourself right now, and then find a rung or 2 that's above that. So like if I'll always start with the belief that like I'm not good enough, and then the next rung up is I can be good enough. If somebody else can do it, then I can do it. I can learn how to do it. I could find some way on the internet to teach myself. So I ladder myself up and I find one of those. So some of the statements that you may be able to find about being like your mom's a single mom and you have 5 brothers and sisters and you worry about them, you could find beliefs that you could say to yourself that say, hey, my mom is very resourceful. I believe in my mom. It could be something like that. Okay, so the second pillar is, I hope that answered that. The second pillar is self-acceptance. And this is important in being just accept ourselves who we are with our greatness and our faults, right? My interpretation of this pillar is that you're practicing deepening that relationship that you have with yourself, right? So that you can not only accept yourself, but you can accept others as well, right? We're more afraid of our greatness, they say, than admitting our faults, because if we live into our greatness, we've got all this potential, but we don't believe in ourselves, so we don't even know like if we can do that, and that scares us even more, right? But this keeps us from living out that greatness and denying ourselves a life lived with higher standards and all of that stuff that comes with it. And so the STEM sentences I want to share with you on this one are self-acceptance means to me, dot, dot, dot. And if I were 5% more accepting of myself today, dot, dot, dot. Third pillar is self-responsible. So once you become aware that you're living consciously and you're accepting yourself and you're aware of some of this stuff, what he says in this pillar is you're now responsible to do something about it. Like this involves what I call the muscle solutions versus excuses. It's up to you. You're responsible now to find a solution to solve it. So this is actively taking a role in the direction of your life and making sure you're heading in the direction of your choice. Like they say, if a plane takes off from LA and is trying to land in New York, if it's off by 1 degree, it lands 100 miles away. So you need to be responsible in making sure you're going in the direction that you want. The STEM sentences that will help you out with this one are: self-responsibility means to me, ... And if I were to be 5% more responsible today, ... Once again, I'll remind you that you could insert, if I were 5% more responsible in my business, or if I were 5% more responsible in my schooling, in my classes, ... So number 4 is self-assertive. I used to think that assertiveness is taking action, but what he's really talking about here is self-assertive is more than just taking action. It's living authentically. So it's living by the values of your choice, not the accidental ones that you inherit from your family and your friends, but values that you choose, right? So this involves you being able to speak your innermost feelings and convictions. So this goes back to the gap between who you are and who you want to be. And when we can close that gap, we trust ourselves more. So that's what being self-assertive is about. It's like, am I being my true self? So if you work on that, the questions would be: self-assertiveness means to me, ... And if I were to be 5% more self-assertive today, if I were to be 5% more self-assertive today. And the reason why he uses 5% is because we just want incremental growth. We don't want like this, I need to grow exponentially in one day, because that's not how it works. So 5, living purposely, means that now that we have all this, I'm taking purposeful action. I want to make sure that my goals are moving me in a forward motion. And so you have to examine what your goals are and what things deeply desire you, and make sure that these aren't the things that would impress your peers or deeply resonate with your ideals. And so this goes back to the question of, I feel obligated to live like my friends want me to. It's important that when you change your self-concept, to live by the goals that you pick out. People will call this living life by design rather than default. The STEM sentences here would be: living purposefully means to me ... And if I were to live 5% more purposefully today ... And the last one, self-integrity, this ties it all together. Without personal integrity, all the other pillars become void, right? So I'm going to read this verbatim, because this is what I picked up on here, and I love this kind of definition of it. Integrity is the integration of convictions, ideals, beliefs, standard, and behavior. When our behavior matches the values that we profess, when our ideals match with our practices, then we have integrity. Then we're in an alignment. And living in integrity is a surefire way to fulfillment, which is ultimately what we're all seeking, not happiness. Happiness isn't this thing you find and then, yeah, I'm happy. No, fulfillment is what is long lasting. Like, you can have a really bad day, but still be fulfilled. So I want to finish up here. These STEM sentences for self-integrity. Self-integrity means to me ... And if I were 5%, if I were to be 5% more in integrity today ... And then I want to share that last STEM sentence for the weekend. So do those each day, not more than 10 minutes in the morning. And then on the weekend, just take your time and answer the question: if any of this were true, it might be helpful if I ... So that's it. Do we have any more questions? We still got a little bit of time left here to ask some more questions. Okay. Well, that was amazing. First of all, I want to thank you all for showing up. Those of you that are here right now, thank you. Those of you, if you're watching this on replay, congratulations. I'm proud of you. You're amazing. This is going to help. Once again, my name is Bryan Peterson, and I am a life coach with Achieve, Grow, Succeed Coaching, where I help people to stop self-sabotaging. We uninstall your limiting beliefs. We raise your credit score with yourself, and you create the life and the business that you want. So that's what I do. I want to give a shout out again to the Youth Education Scholarship, the YES program. If any of you are on here today, congrats, you're amazing. This particular one, if you grasp the importance of this, this is going to help you build the foundation for success in your life. I promise you that if you understand how important it is, the relationship you have with yourself, it's going to go miles. You're going to do amazing things. I know you, and I know you will. And so just a little bit about the Youth Educational Scholarship Program. We're currently in summer holiday. We've got some amazing people. Congrats to those of you that are waiting on your certificates. You did wonderful. We start up again in September, and the only requirement is that you watch a 1-hour class a week. That's it. Like, you just find ways to benefit yourself. That's all you have to do. And I mean, I just think that that's amazing. I don't know about you. So the yes is for 19 to 25-year-olds. It's free. It's free. How can you pass that up? It's free, right? It's a scholarship. There's no application. All you have to do is email the office at hello@lifecoachuniversity.com, and they will tell you everything you need to know, and they will get you started. Once again, the next one starts up in September. Make sure you get from that. Enjoy your summer, of course, but you can also check out the classes that are already listed. There's plenty of them on there. Just go to Life Coach University, go to their Yes program on there, and then you can find some of the classes that are already there. So the last thing I want to share is, once again, this was brought to you by the Life Coach University and their Pay It Forward platform, where coaches from around the world have gathered to coach millions more. I'm telling you, there are coaches from around the world. I've met some of them. They're amazing, right? All that we ask is that you pay it forward. We don't care how you do it. We just want you to join in us in creating the biggest ripple effect of gift giving the world has ever seen. We just want this ripple to go far and wide. We want it to cascade over the entire planet. And it all starts with each one of us in our communities, in our homes, and in ourselves. So you can pay it forward by using this learning to enhance yourself. Teach it to somebody else. Share Life Coach University. Buy somebody lunch. Hug somebody. Or my favorite, just make somebody laugh. That's my favorite. That's what I like to do. And so that's all we do, is just join us in making this the type of world that we want to live in, which is one filled with more joy, peace, love, and happiness. Thank you. You are amazing once again. I love you all. Have an absolutely amazing day.